I decided this is too beautiful and I want my daughter to grow up like this. See, it's for me it was kind of a monkey see monkey do kind of situation. They say, "Ai kama tulichapwa and we came out just fine. Why should I not discipline my children in that manner?" Whatever I had done was not enough to be told, "Get out of my face. Why are you standing there looking like a monkey?" I kid you not. You know, things like that. My adulthood has been mostly me trying to be as much of a pleasant daughter as possible. Looking for ways to excuse the kind of treatment I got. Sometimes I say, she was probably depressed with the whole postpartum thing, getting children back to her. My name is Carolina, and this is the Dining and Journals podcast, episode 7. This episode, sijui nieke disclaimer, but you'll see. It was inspired by a quote I saw on somebody's WhatsApp status, and it said, I'm going to read it word by word, ndivo ione. It really makes sense. It resonates with this episode. It said, "Girl to girl, there are traits your mom may have exhibited that growing up you never liked. But I'm telling you for free that if you are not intentional or conscious enough, you'd find yourself exhibiting the same traits. Do with this information what you will or what you want." And what I want to do with this information is talk about those traits sometimes. And I know nobody's a saint. We make mistakes, and I think parents do not really know how to be parents. They're just winging it too. Whatever flies. But then again, there was that part and you'll go down, this is beyond human to some extent, you know? And most people, especially us millennials, because I'm somewhere between millennials and Gen Z. I was born in 96. So Gen Z starts in 97 and millennials end in 96. I'm right there. Niko tu hapo. So us millennials, we are sometimes afraid. But venye nimeona tu Gen Zs are not hawaogopi. Hakuna kitu inawaogopesha, you know? Because Gen Zs are our younger brothers and sisters. I don't think there's a millennial who has a Gen Z kid. Probably alphas or to Gen Z were later Gen Z, ama the youngest Gen Z, I don't know. But I digress too far, in fact. My intention with this episode today is to talk about the things that happened to me in relation to my mom, and the things that I'm trying to do now that I'm a mom that are more intentional and conscious. According to this quote, like, kuna hizo vitu tu you grew up seeing and you decided, Mimi, I will never do this to my kid, or I don't ever want to see anybody going through these same things that I'm going through. And somehow in between you lose the drift and unajipata tu you're doing the same things that were done to you that you promised yourself and swore you are never gonna do them. Right? That is life. As a matter of fact, that is life. Na unanga wengine wakisema, I grew up without a dad, so I'll never abandon my kid. Ooh, guess what? Anyway, so with this quote, I remembered a certain time in 2020. I was not the mother that I am right now. Before 2020, I was not the mother that I am right now. But after 2020, I interacted with a family that, based on how they were treating their kids, how they were communicating, the kind of things that were going on in that house, I decided this is too beautiful and I want my daughter to grow up like this. See, it's for me it was kind of a monkey see monkey do kind of situation with this whole parenting thing, Before that, I was just winging it. And sometimes I would find myself drifting towards the things that were done to me. Case on point, shouting. I am not a shouter. I don't even know. I keep bringing on new words with these episodes. I'm not prone to shouting, but I used to find myself being really aggressive when addressing my daughter. Like in the early years, before 2020, 2018, 2019, because now the time that I got to spend with her better akiwa mkubwa was when I was in campus. Now tukiwa pamoja na you remember the last episodes what I talked about. So I would find myself shouting bila hata kujua I'm shouting, and you see this child ameanza kushtuka, and tunaitanga kuingiwa na maji. You see the anxiety was really there, but I was so oblivious to this because that is all I know. I was communicated to in ways of shouting, and I have not benchmarked with a different family or a coach, parenting coach or anything to know better. The only time I realized that my way of parenting was not really the best one was after now interacting with this family that I worked for in 2020. And they were so welcoming, they were so polite. You could see the way they were talking to their babies. Huyu mtoto ana grow up to be a very, I don't know the word for that, but just a soft human who understands that kind of soft life. And it should be a norm. The things that we are calling soft life to some people are norms, So for this episode, I came up with a few things that like to see, to show you the transition, and it takes a lot of, it's a conscious decision to get to this point that I'm not saying I'm the best mother in the world. I'm just saying I am a better mother than I was before 2020, a better mother than I would have been if I did not interact like that with that family. Okay. So, one of the things I found my mom doing that as a child sikuwa nafurahia at all was nishasema shouting, but I cannot emphasize enough. Oh my god. And also now there was that, in comes the beatings. I don't remember the last time. I don't even think I've ever beat my daughter. Maybe once before 2020 once again. Nowadays we just sit down and discuss things. It may be a bit tough depending on the kind of child that you are, but that you have as a parent, if you're a parent watching this. But I think my daughter has made it kind of easy because she's a soft child. Hata sielewi why I used to like shout at her back then, Another thing that I found with this family, they were very affirmative with their kids. They would remind their children how beautiful they are. They would remind their children how sharp they are, and it was just part of their casual conversation. It's not at a special occasion, ati maybe mtoto amegraduate ama maybe mtoto amemaliza homework. At that time you're validated to say, oh my god, you're so clever, you're so good at doing this and that. No, out of the blues unapata tu ameambia mtoto, who is this beautiful baby girl looking at me? Things like that. And believe it or not, that child just beams up with happiness because this is their biggest mentor, the people they are looking up to that are validating them and telling them that I do not remember getting validations or affirmation, And for me it was like even worse because I don't know if I should say this, I'm already in trouble for the other episodes, but whatever, man. We are too deep into this podcast. But I remember this one time, I don't know what I had done, but I swear whatever I had done was not enough to be told, get out of my face. Why are you standing there looking like a monkey? I kid you not. things like that. Yo, things like that, they will break you. And as a child now, that being the first thing that you hear, especially as a young girl at, I think I was either 11 at that time, So not getting validations affirmations, that's where we are. Not getting affirmations is bad enough. But now being insulted and having your confidence, your self-esteem lowered while at it, even worse, like you could have just kept quiet and not talked about it, but So I try as much as possible. Right now it has become part of me. It's not a part of a routine or anything. I just randomly, you just find me telling her how intelligent she is, how fun she is, how talented she is, for no reason at all, because that is how I view her and that is how I want her to view herself. I don't think parents back then, even now, since all of us are gentle parenting, even now there are people who will shout at their kids now and tusi mbaya mbaya, I know people doing that still in this era. Another thing was being burdened with responsibilities. I think that is self-explanatory. If you're a firstborn daughter, you know you're a deputy mother. And I try to not use that word, deputy mother, because it is very antagonizing. I guess that should be the word, because you're a child doing things, parenting yourself, first of all. If you're a firstborn daughter, you know what I'm talking about. Parenting your siblings. There's one, you're a firstborn daughter and not an only child. I want to believe that you have siblings behind you. Or maybe the ones who are older than you are sons. That's why you're a firstborn daughter. Okay, get the drift. So you're parenting yourself. You're parenting your siblings. To some extent, I don't know if I'm the only one, but to some extent, your parents are also expecting you to parent them. In my case, that's how it goes. So those responsibilities, I used to think it's a norm. And when somebody used to tell me, "Hey, you're so mature for your age," I used to think that is a compliment, but it's not. It has never been. It's just a result of circumstances. You found yourself doing things that you are not supposed to be doing as a child. Instead of being the child you are meant to be, you're here being burdened with all these responsibilities. So I think at the back of my mind, I am traumatized by that whole experience, that all those things that happened back then. I normally think that is why if there's somebody I have babied so much, it's my daughter. She can clean and do some light chores, but I don't know. I don't remember her doing that at all. And projection, that is me projecting my traumas on her, maybe. But also, I still look at her and think, she's just a baby, There's that video. The child is saying, "I just a baby." So at the back of my mind, hata before nimwambie tu, she knows, okay, these things, kuna zenye anajiambianga, but there are others I have to tell her. But I walk on very lightly before telling her to do anything, because I have experienced that, and I normally see nitakuwa nikimburden with responsibilities or something, and this is a trauma response. I think we'll have to navigate that with my therapist to know how best I can orient her into chores and other things. But to some extent also, as you have heard, it may not be my fault. I don't know. So it could have been better. I could have been left to be a child a little bit longer. And maybe if you're a parent in this generation and you have younger kids who kuna huyo tu mmoja mwenye unaonanga anajituma, very responsible, niye anapanguzia watoto wengine viatu, cleaning for them, stuff like that. I really don't think that is very healthy, to be honest, Anyway, that is part of now the quote, the part that says there are things that you watched growing up and you saw that you don't want to do that or be that kind of a parent, but unajipata tu probably by circumstance or subconsciously bila kujua, but wengine wanafanya wakijua. They say, ai, kama tulichapwa and we came out just fine, why should I not discipline my children in that manner? They don't want to open their minds to other kind of disciplining. Anyways, yeah. So the other thing was prioritizing other people over me. And this is one of the things that I struggled so much with. We would have like guests coming over and I would be the one, like maybe wamekuja na watoto wao. Of course, I'm part of the hosts and I'm part of the deputy parenting things. I have to help around, I have to do this and that. But I'm a child. Wengine wanacheza huko nje wenye walikuja along with my siblings, but I have to be there maybe serving or cleaning or kutoa vyombo kwa nini or looking after the youngest. The chores were endless, sometimes oh yes, there's this one part yenye sijai sahau ever. I had a dress that I really liked. I think one of my cousins came over or the family, I can't remember very well, but there was she's supposed to wear, we're both supposed to wear nice clothes. I think we were going to church or somewhere, and it was between me and her. We wanted the same dress. Guess who got the dress? Just guess. Yeah. So I think if I was in that kind of a situation right now and my daughter wants the same thing that the other person who has come to visit us or something like that wants, and I have to make the big crazy choice of either heartbreaking my child or just being a perfect host, you already know what I would pick. By the way, when it comes to this child, I am so selfish. I have come to terms with the fact that I will always be the selfish mother over everything, And I also remember this one time tulikuwa tumeenda kutembea kwa kina uncle yangu, and they had a bathroom inside the house and another one outside the house. Nimesha warm maji. It was kind of a family gathering. I was kitu what? Either 9 or something. 9, 10, somewhere there. My water has already warmed. I already know I'm next in that bathroom. All the children were showering inside the house bathroom, the bathroom inside the house. Guess which is the only child? Guess, okay, hiyo kizungu mingi inapotea hata. I think easy flashbacks, they always bring something out of me. But now, guess which child went to shower outside? Na nile ya kukaziwa macho, like, achana na hao waoge uko ndani wewe, endo oge uko nje. And I did. And I wanted to experience the inside bathroom for once because, it wasn't a very normal thing back then. Nasi kitambo sana by the way. I think we were just uprising middle class-ish or lower. I don't remember. But somewhere there. Anyway, she could have said, wait for this one to finish. Ama could have told the others, now angeelewa because she's already doing so much for other people. And this one part of sacrificing her daughter's happiness was probably part of the whole pleasing everybody else, And I'm not trying to like, I don't know the word. I'm not trying to create bad blood. I think I'm oversharing at this point. But some things have to just be said. This is my healing journey. This is my podcast. I'm trying to heal my inner child. And how I know it's kind of working up to this point is because it gets harder when I start talking about it. But as we continue, it becomes something that, I should have said this earlier. I should have said this. Maybe the whole people-pleasing thing that I used to have before this year, because hii mwaka tu ndio nimeacha kukua mtu wa kufurahisha watu and not speaking my mind, because nilikuwa naogopa kukosea mtu, you know. So I would probably have been a better human if I was prioritized, or if I was treated in a better way as a child. And back to the quote anyway, because that's where the whole story started. I am trying to undo those things. I remember, like, before 2020, Before 2020, I used to... There was that one time somebody visited me and my daughter was playing with her teddy bear. And the child started crying for that teddy bear. To be a good host, I decided, I decided to tell my daughter, mpatie acheze nayo. And I could see how sad she was. But it didn't affect me, because these are the same things that I had experienced. But now, after seeing how these people are treating their children, prioritizing them over every other person, I also learned that if you're trying to make your child shrink at your own home, just because watu wamekuja kutembea, just because you want to give that visitors better quality time at your home, ndivyo tu waende waseme you're a very good person. Uliona venye alitufanyia sijui nini. You know, if you keep trying to make your child shrink just because you have company or other people visiting you and you want them to get a better treatment at the expense of your child, it's, watarudi kwao eventually. But your child, this is their home. Get what I'm saying? Ukutu, this is where they know, these are the people, they are at your home, yes, temporarily, but they're gonna go back to their place and they might not even remember. But this child, this one, atakumbuka. I think my daughter still talks about that Teddy experience. You know, and knowing what I know right now as a parent who is trying to be better, I know not to do that kind of people pleasing at the expense of my daughter thing again, right? Yeah. I already said about talking down on me, the whole invalidation. It was, I don't know, I always think that it could have been better, you know? It could have been better. Because when you look at your child straight in the face and call them monkey and tell them, why are you so black? Oh God, I don't know. Some of this hate and low self-esteem, it comes from the people who are supposed to protect you the most. The whole invalidation, the whole lack of affirmation, the whole kuonwa tu like you're just a child. And children remember. I am remembering. I'm not even a child at this point, but I'm remembering things that happened over 19 years ago, over 20 years ago. But here we are, you know? Yeah. Another thing, I feel like the whole could have been protected better, because there's this thing everybody has been saying, as a single mom, if somebody, there are a lot of stories that I read about single moms who are wondering their new spouse is not treating their children well, so they are asking for advice. Nimwache ama sijui. There's another one I read this last week, yenye imepita. Somebody's asking ati the boys are now grown, so she's wondering aache bwana ama awarentie nyumba around there ndo waendelee tu kusoma akiwa na wasupport wakiwa kwa hiyo nyumba amewarentia. What? Why? You know? And I don't know, what was that? It's the whole should your children, like, umeweka watoto wako wapi? Are they so important to you to an extent that you would leave that person in a bid to protect them? Or is the only time you're ever going to leave that person when things get so bad for you? Things were already bad for this kid, but you never left. The only time you're leaving is time tu ameanza sijui kucheat, sijui kufanya nini. I don't know. I think one of the reasons why I'm so hesitant to bring somebody into my child's life, like a spouse or somebody I don't know, get the drift, is because I still have those traumas of alafu sasa na kimtreat the same way, the same treatment. I already know what I would do in a blink of an eye, but it can be avoided. So again, one of the things that I should be unpacking with my therapist, but I got a mic and a camera in front of me and it's a podcast, so hi. Yeah, another thing, being asked for opinions, for your opinion, right? Yeah, I remember this. There's a time, okay, during the holidays, we would go and visit my father where he used to work. He was getting transfers from time to time. So whenever he's in a new town, we would go and I am in, was it class 5? I think the first time we were left, I was in class 5. And it's me, the big child, and my siblings. All the three of them. And we used to be left wherever my father is working. So that means I'm the one who's going to clean after them, who's going to cook for them, who's going to know what is going to be eaten in that house. All for what, by the way? I normally ask myself, like, why? Or maybe like he wasn't providing, so it would have been easier for us to just go so that he can provide for us during that 1 month that we are there. But then what happens to the other months that schools open and you have to go back home? Like, couldn't you have handled us in that 1 month the same way you're handling us in these other 3 months? I don't know if you're understanding that part, but if I was asked my opinion at that time, I would have said, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. At least it's easier when we are parenting together. You're like the mom and I'm the deputy mom, looking after, doing all the other responsibilities and chores, as opposed to this time when we've been left at wherever our father is working and I have to be the mom now. Mi ndio najua wenye watakula nini, wenye watakunywa nini, the food that's to be eaten, the clothes. Even up to this day, by the way, I don't even do laundry. I stopped doing laundry like 5 years ago, since 2020, because I could if I wanted to, but the whole trauma of nimeishi kufulia watu 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nguo since I can remember, I think no. They could have asked for my opinion on these things, because at some point I was grown enough in high school, like Form 1 hivi. I think in Form 1, first term, now after tumefunga first term, the April holiday, we went and it was the same thing, This is the man who's still beating me in your presence. Why would you trust him in your absence? Anyways, I keep saying anyways a lot after every point. That's my way of deep breaths. Okay, so as I'm winding up on this episode, don't want to say too much. I've already said a lot. And at this point, I think I'm oversharing. And this is my truth, yo. If you feel touched, just know you could have done better. Just know you could have done better. It's healing, reconciliation. I don't know when the later will ever happen. Since now I am going down a rabbit hole that will really rub many shoulders. But it's life. It's what it is. Yeah. I saw something that said girls who had a weak relationship with their mothers spend all their lives trying to get that validation. And I've never related to something as much as I did with this one, because even now in my adulthood, I'm still rushing after that whole, oh, my good daughter kind of, accolades. And I'm looking, at some point, I think I was so desperate for that. And sometimes, kama kuna mtu sitakangi kukosea in this world is my mom, But also now it's probably because I am looking for that thing that the younger me did not get. I keep convincing myself that if I do this, she's gonna see me as a good daughter. She's gonna love me. Yeah, she loves me. I think she does. But I normally think that trying to overcompensate for whatever I missed back then. So, I'm still doing the things that the whole people pleasing, but now it's just her that I'm trying to please, to be that daughter that, to be seen, to be heard, to make things better. There's a lot of things that, could have been different also. And I'm not trying to be at crossroads with everybody. At this point, I just feel like I am, but it's my truth once again. So lastly, for this podcast, my adulthood has been mostly me trying to be as much of a pleasant daughter as possible. Looking for ways to excuse the kind of treatment I got. Sometimes I say, she was probably depressed with the whole postpartum thing, getting children back to work, Sometimes I say, I don't know, mostly it's that. Yeah, I say she was probably depressed because of the whole, the other things that she went through. I'm trying to excuse her behavior and trying to give an excuse for everything that I went through as a daughter, as a firstborn daughter. But there's no excuse. There's no excuse for treating your kids some type of way, Yeah. She could have been better. Once again. Anyway, that's a wrap for episode 7. Is it? Yeah. And despite these whole emotions in the air right now, I'm still your host, Carol Minor. See you in the next episode. Bye.